and then start the, you can move that over and then start the broadcast.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. We're going to go through how you do a Go Section 8 entry and how you do some searching after you do your entries. So initially you would sign in to Go Section 8 and you would be on this page. There's a lot of information on this page, but most of it is not something that you will be accessing. Where you're going to keep your attention is over here in the Manage and Create area. So if you click on Create, it's going to open up the area for you to enter in a Go Section 8 rent reasonableness. And you will enter in your address. And what you will notice is that it's geocoding, so it will start entering in different addresses for you, hoping that one of them is going to be accurate. In this particular case, the one I'm looking for is in Portage, Michigan, so I will go ahead and select that. You can see it thinks for a moment, and then it pulls in as much information as it has from public records for you to pick up with. So in some cases, you'll get a lot of information, and in other cases like this one, you're going to get a lot of unknown information that we're going to have to fill in for ourselves. So what you're going to do is you're going to enter, this is a single family home, so I don't have an apartment number. You'd enter in the number of bedrooms, the number of full bathrooms, the number of half baths. Anywhere where you see a red star, that's a mandatory slot, so you have to enter something in there. The square footage, in this particular case, we were able to pull in the square footage, so we'll leave that be. The year that the apartment or the unit was built, you would enter that in. Your property types, you have several different selections. We have low-rise and high-rise apartments. We have duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, condos, and houses. So those are the ones that we would typically grab from. In this case, I told you it was a house. Quality condition, you're going to skip. You're never going to enter in quality and condition. If you enter something in quality and condition, it can impact the results, and we do not actually allow for you to be using that, so you would leave that as unknown. And then you would select the appropriate utility schedule. In most cases, it is going to select the utility schedule for you. In this case, it's selecting the 2019 single-family home, which is exactly what I wanted. Then you're going to enter in the requested rent, which you should have on your documentation. I'm going to put in that I'm going to request $800 in rent and see what kind of response I get. Here's where the unit is. You can see this here. You can also go to a street view. You can take a look at your public records, or you can look at the address verification. You can take a look at any of this information, but it's not mandatory that you stop and actually take a look at that. You would enter in the family name. So you're going to do last name, comma, first name, and then the number of voucher bedroom size, which you guys would be entering in the unit bedroom size for this. You're not using the voucher, you're using a unit bedroom size. And then you're going to enter in your client reference code, which you guys have received in your documentation. In this case, I'm doing an I because this is an initial recertification. So then you need to enter in your heating and fuel types. Notice all of these are red stars, so these are required fields. So what type of heating fuel is there? I'm going to say there's natural gas. I'm going to say it's electric cooking, and I'm going to say that it's natural gas hot water. Over here, you're determining whether the owner is paying for this or the tenant is paying for this. This should be on your documentation that you have in front of you. In this case, since it's a single-family home, I'm saying that the tenant is responsible for paying all of this. Under water, you're going to pick either city or well, and under sewer, you're going to pick either public or septic tank. Under cooling system, you're going to determine what type of cooling system there is. Whether, in most cases, this will probably be none, but in some cases, you'll get a window, wall, or central. Heating, we're going to say that this is a furnace, but you have different options here for when you have apartment complexes as to whether or not it's a boiler or it's central or it's baseboard. So I'm going to select furnace. I'm going to select that there are washer dryer hookups, but there is not actual washer and dryer. I'm going to say that there are ceiling fans, which there are, and that in here in the amenities, this is all about what's approved to come with the house. So, or the apartment complex, so that you're going to select the amenities that actually come with the property itself. So there's a range and refrigerator, it's a 2-car garage, and then trash is also, actually I'm going to not say trash is included. So all of this information will be entered in, and then you're going to just click on Analyze, and it's going to determine whether or not the requested rent is acceptable. Okay, So it is acceptable, and we can tell that right off the bat because it says requested rent, and then in green it says is reasonable. And then it's telling you the highest market rent that's available that was selected. So there were 3 comparables that were selected in the nearby area. One is here at 8082 Wimbledon, where the highest rent was $705. One at 6219 Silver, and that was at $1,050. And then one at 8048 Wimbledon, and that is for $1,317, which you can see is the highest available one right there. So what will always end up happening is 3 comparables will be selected and provided to you. You don't have to do anything other than click that Analyze button, and this will take care of itself. So then down below here is where you're going to type in your approved rent, which is $800 because that was the requested rent. You never want to enter in a higher approved rent than requested rent. If you try to do that, you're going to get a red box, which is an indicator that you shouldn't be doing that. You're also going to get a statement that says the approved rent is higher than the requested rent. Just because you can go higher doesn't mean that you're allowed to go higher. So you should always be entering in the requested rent. If you have any comments, you can enter the comments here. You don't have to enter any comments, but if you had any, this is where you would enter them. This is the date. It's automatic. There's the tenant name. You're going to go ahead and you're going to sign and certify this, and then it's going to become a part of the formal record. What's going to happen is it's going to open up a report for us where I will show you the different information that shows up in that report. Go back to this main screen. So that was the create button where you were actually creating. Now if you go to the manage button, manage is where you're going to see all of the rent reasonableness that has been done out in this system. So you can see right here, I had just done 6833 Amberley, and now it's appearing in the manage. And here's where you can go to your view PDF. So you click on view PDF, and it's going to pull that up for us. In some cases, you may need to print this for the file. It depends on what the requirements are for your program as to whether or not you need to print these or if they're just going to be electronic. But what it is it's here's the proposed unit, the 6833 Amberley, and all the information that we entered in. And then here's that first comparable and all of that information. You can see that it's doing different adjustments. It treats this a lot like an appraisal, where it's going to adjust in and adjust out information based on the comparables that are available. So in this particular case, this one adjusted out $55, this one adjusted out $20, and this one adjusted out $25, based on the information that's coming from the comparable units. So this is all one comparable unit, this is another comparable unit, and then this is your third comparable unit. If you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see that the rent was accepted on 4/25/2019 for $800, and here's my electronic signature. So whoever actually is performing this certification, your electronic signature will be there for life or longer, so we'll be able to tell who actually conducted this rent reasonableness. You actually will see that the utility schedule was pulled right here, so we'll always be able to know what utility schedule was utilized in the comparable study. So if you scroll down, then it's giving you a little bit more information about the local market analysis. It's showing you where the subject unit is, which is this one with an S, and then it's showing you where the comparable units were, which are these green ones with the check marks in them. So you get an idea of how close in proximity those comparable units were to the subject unit. If you keep scrolling down, you see all of the adjustments in and out. So this is the information where you're actually seeing for comparable one, what it was adjusting in and out. So this is a very detailed report so that you can always be able to tell what went into this comparable study. Now you'll see here, this is where the comment goes. I typed in single family, and here's where the comment would actually appear, which is why I typed it in, so you'd be able to see that your comment actually shows up down below here. This is what it looks like when you are having a comparable study that actually passes. Let's take a look at one where we actually enter in that it doesn't pass. So you can see that you can create a certification from the manage area. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to enter in another unit. Again, remember, it's geocoding, so you don't have to type it all in if it's actually showing the information that you need. It's another single-family home. This time it's a 3-bedroom. Sorry, not a 6-bedroom, a 3-bedroom. The square footage is available to us, the year built is available to us, the utility schedule, the property type. This time I'm going to ask for $1,500 in rent. We type in the family name, we type in the unit bedroom size, we type in the client reference. In this case, we're given more information than we were the last time, where we actually know that the heating fuel is natural gas, electric, natural gas, central air, heating system is a furnace. All of this is tenant supplied, so that's important for us to know. We're not going to supply the washer and dryer, but we do have washer dryer hookups. We do have ceiling fans. We'll provide the refrigerator and the stove. There's also a dishwasher in the unit. The trash is not included, but they thought that it would be, and so now I'm going to analyze this and see whether or not this is an acceptable rent. Remember, I asked for $1,500. In this particular case, the requested rent isn't reasonable. So remember, the last time when it was reasonable, it was in green. When it's not reasonable, it shows up in red. So the highest that this unit can go for, we asked for $1,500, as you can see, but the highest that we can accept is $945. And that's this unit right here, which is in close proximity. So the most that we would be able to accept is $945, and we would need to determine whether or not that's an acceptable rent. If it is, then we're going to type in $945 right here, and you can see that these are still in green. If I were to try to type in $1,500, see how this shows up in red. Anything that shows up in red is never good. It's also got this red line right here, which is saying that it's higher than the reasonable rent range. You never want to go higher than what's the allowable rent. So $945 is the acceptable rent, and that's exactly what we're going to select. Here we're going to type in landlord accepted reduction. Okay? Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to sign and certify it. And this rent reasonableness study is now done for $945. So here it shows up now. Here was my original one at 6833 Amberley with Marie Gray as the tenant. It's a 2-bedroom house. These are some basic information that you can get. It was completed on 4/25. The highest rent that was allowable was $1,317.14, but we had a requested rent of $800 and an accepted rent of $800. So then up here for the 4813 Allison Drive, again, it's a 3-bedroom house with a 1-bedroom bath. It's Marie Gray again, but this time they asked for $1,500, and the most that we could approve was $945. And the place where you go to view your PDF is just right here along the side, and we can view this PDF as well. And here's the subject unit right here, and then here are your 3 comparable units that were selected for comparison, and there's the detail information. Here's your information stating again that this was approved on April 25th, 2019 for $945. The approved rent is $945. The requested rent is $15. Here's my electronic signature again. Here's the utility schedule, and here's the person's name. Here's your local market analysis. Here's where the subject unit is, and here's where the 3 comparables were, which is in very close proximity. They're within this circle range, which is very good. And that tells you how close they were. And then here is the analysis again, where it's telling you the amount of adjustments going in and going out of the subject unit. And then here's my note, landlord accepted reduction. So that's on there for future reference, that the landlord accepted the reduction of the rent. So there is your comparability. The only other thing I want to show you is this date range. Sometimes you're doing a search for a unit, and you get, so as you can see, when I'm doing a search for a unit, less is more. If I type in 1900, it's going to pull up anything that's got 1900 in it. But what it's going to do is it's going to do it between this date range. So if I wanted to extend the date range, I just click inside of there, and then I use my calendar, and I back up the date range, and then it's going to load certifications that go back to October 1st, 2018, as well as going through April 25th, 2019. So you're going to want to use your date range filters occasionally if you have to go back in time and you have to look for historical certification. It does take it a little bit of time because it's loading the different certifications looking for your criteria. But it will end up going back as far back as the date range will allow. So that's just one thing I wanted to show you, is that you would need to expand date ranges from time to time. You also have different things over here with the family name, where if you start typing in Mark, it's going to pull anything where you can see Mark. So you can see it's pulling in a Mark Wheeler, but it's also pulling in a Caitlin Markey. So it's a pretty robust search where if you're looking for something, you can either do family name or you can do the address. You can not only do the street address, but you can go ahead and type in the street name, and you can see Amber. So there's my Amberley Street that we were dealing with, but then there's also Amber and Chamberlain Street. So use your search functions to try to find the units that you're looking for, and you won't have any problems locating your historical information. Anytime you want to get back to that main page, you click on Menu and you click on Dashboard. Dashboard will take you back to this main page that I showed you originally, where most of it you're going to ignore. But here's that Create button again, and here is that Manage button. So we've been in both locations where we've created a rent reasonableness. We've actually created 2 of them, and then I've shown you the Manage, where you can go in and you can take a look at your units. And that is the Go Section 8 program.